Good morning, everyone. It's Modern Craftsman Monday. Hopefully, you guys all had a good weekend, enjoyed yourselves, got some R&R, and are ready to take on this week. It's just me and our guest this week. We had a special guest who I met at BizCom, which was out in Minnesota back in November. Her name is Jordyn DiOrio. She has owned and still owns quite a few businesses. She's a young woman who is a self-proclaimed serial entrepreneur. She's really, when I met her, she's just fiery, she's spunky, she is spicy, she's intelligent, confident, somebody who's just setting a really good example for young women who want to be successful, who want to make an impact in this world. She's somebody really good to look up to and sets a really good example. As soon as I met her, we were at a round table out at Mercury Mosaics in Minnesota, and I instantly knew I wanted to get her on the podcast. Obviously, I'm a father to two young daughters, and my wife is a working mom. So I understand. I guess I don't understand, but I am privy to what they go through on a daily basis and the challenges that they face. And I think that Jordyn is a really good advocate for that and a proponent of really empowering young women and women in general. So I wanted to get her on the podcast to hopefully be able to tell her story and you guys to experience a little sliver of what I experienced when I met Jordyn. And I think that we accomplished that. She also was kind enough to shed light on the fact that I call a lot of women girls, and I do not mean to be condescending. It's probably just habitual. You know, I have two young girls, and so if I say girls during the podcast, and I probably should say women, adult women, but I appreciate that perspective and the insight that she showed me there. But I've really had fun with her. It's good banter. She's witty. She's smart. She's got a lot of energy, and she's somebody that we can all learn something from. So I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. As always, it is brought to you by our partners, Andersen Windows and Buildertrend and Rockwool. So thank you to our partners and our sponsors. We couldn't be doing this without you, and let's get going. This podcast is brought to you by the fine folks over at Andersen Windows. The fine folks over at Andersen Windows. Homeowners are asking for more and more glass in their homes, more views, more sunshine, and this means larger windows and more expansive doors to bring the outdoors into their spaces. Sometimes it can be hard to know which windows can meet your dimensions. On the Andersen website, they have a fast and easy tool. It's called Find My Size. You can find it in the For Pros section of the website by Googling Andersen Find My Size. Enter your dimensions, and it'll tell you within Andersen's standard sizes which window or door styles and which series will meet the opening. And don't forget, they offer custom sizes as well. That information is linked in the Find My Size tool also. So visit the link in the podcast description for all of the product information. Construction industry is competitive. Job opportunities are out there, but everyone's going after the same ideal clients. That's what makes an effective leads management process so important. It's the very thing that takes you from an up and coming in your market to a top builder. A lead is more than just fancy sales jargon, too. Leads are people, real people who soon become real clients. Buildertrend can help you push more of them across the sales finish line more easily. With digital tools for CRM, proposals, and email marketing, this is the platform to help you easily make a lasting connection with every lead. You'll build a healthy pipeline of customers, have visibility into which are closest to closing, and go right from sales to production without missing a single important detail. Are you ready for more high quality clients and less stress? Check out buildertrend.com/MC sales. It's recording.
Oh,
All
you
right.
had to make yeah, you have to press record. That's how
I
you,
know.
record a
So
podcast.
it says that we're live, so I would assume that we're recording too. I am gonna actually confirm that with Doug though.
That is so funny. Okay, so Nick's wife had a baby. Congrats,
Yeah,
Nick. That's
it's
very
their
exciting.
fourth.
Oh my god, that's not a first new baby. That's exciting.
I
Boy,
know, so
girl, do
that's
we
kinda
know?
it's a boy, but that's kinda bullshit that he's not on here when it's the 4th kid, you know?
Yeah, I mean, don't you have 3, 4 kids, or am I making that up?
2,
Oh, sorry, I was
2.
just you might have more, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I don't if I have more, I don't know either.
I'm just out here throwing out allegations about you
Just
having more kids than
yeah,
you
so
actually do.
yeah, so, I mean, I like kids, not that much. I
Yeah.
thought I wanted more kids until I had 1 kid, and then my wife and I
Okay.
had 1 kid, and I was like, "I'm completely fine with having 1 kid."
Yes.
But then my wife's an only child, so maybe you're thinking
Okay.
we spoke and I'm one of 5. I know that you're one of
Yes.
7, so that might be
Yeah.
what you're thinking of.
100%. And I am, because I could go either way. I could have 5 children or I could have 1 child. I don't have any right now. So I'm
Mm,
technically wealthy right now.
yeah, I would recommend
Um,
the less is more approach with kids.
I have a feeling, just probably based on our own childhoods, we were like, "What were our parents
Yeah.
thinking?" Oh, they weren't. Oh, right,
No, not at all.
right.
But people always ask me they ask me if I have more respect for my parents now that I have kids, and I'm like, "Actually, less," because I don't know why you
Yes.
continued to have more kids after having
Yeah.
kids.
It doesn't get better.
No.
You just learn to ignore your kids. You're just like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, whatever. I don't care what you do." The rules in our house were, don't get pregnant in high school and don't call the police. Call us first. Oh, and no ball in the house.
Strict
Those are
household.
that's just the, like, holy trinity in our house. Don't get pregnant, don't call the police, no ball in the house, and there's always ball in the house, and that's
How'd
how
you
we
make
work
out?
stuff.
How'd you make out? Were you a
Um,
good kid?
yeah, I mean, I'm a middle child, so I'm, like, in the middle.
Same.
I'm 5th. Are you a middle child too? Where do
Yeah.
you fall?
3rd. That's the
Okay.
middle of 5. 3.
Math. Yeah, that math adds up. But, yeah, I would say middle child, you're, like, self-sufficient, your parents are, like, you don't wanna bother them, but it's also, like, survival of the fittest, and you're
Yeah.
like, "I can make my own meals, I'll just I'm gonna watch all my siblings make mistakes, so then, uh, I don't have to make them." So I feel like I turned out alright. I'm definitely self-sufficient. I think, like, coming from big families, they make good entrepreneurs because 'cause you've kinda grown up around chaos and, like, you just learn how to thrive in the
I
mess.
can tell by the way you handled that microphone situation. I was like, "She's gotta be a middle child."
Why? Because I was
Just it was
pissed, I was like,
chaos and you handled it. You were very self-sufficient. You couldn't even hear Doug or myself. You're reading lips and,
yeah,
you got it sorted out.
I feel like I've never been on a podcast where the tech has worked immediately,
Well,
ever.
thank
Like,
you.
it's just never, yeah, it never works. Someone's gotta figure that out.
It's
Um,
all we every single episode, there's an issue. Every episode, and we have guests, and
yep.
they're like, "You've been doing this for 5 years, and we still don't have it sorted out." So,
Well,
generally, it's on our
thank for
end too.
yeah. I mean, we can thank Doug. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah.
Shout out Doug.
If it weren't
I
for
don't know if
Doug,
he
we would
gets I mean, he gets a shout out. Why
yeah,
not?
Doug's the man. So Jordyn DiOrio, we met a couple of months ago. I guess it was November. We were at
Yeah, wow,
BizCon
yep.
together.
Yep, in Minneapolis, yep.
So we had a round table, I guess an informal round table at Mercury Mosaics. That's where we
Yep.
met.
Mhm.
That's where the love affair really blossomed.
Yep,
And
talking
then
just about ops, all the
yeah,
really fun stuff. Yep,
and then we had an actual panel discussion hosted by Brad that evening,
yep.
that was more formal, but I as soon as I met you so if people don't know Jordan, I'm going to, tell you what I my initial thoughts of you were, and
Uh-oh.
it's all
Uh-oh,
good,
here we go.
right? But then I'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, but
I love it.
very brightly dressed, bright lipstick, bold glasses, loud, but not in an annoying way, and just confident. And so when I heard you speak, and there was primarily women at the first event,
Yep.
and the way that you dealt with them and the way that you spoke to them, to me, seemed to empower them. And I immediately thought to myself, I have to get this girl on the podcast. I have 2 daughters. My wife is a working mom, and I just absolutely love strong women and confident women and women who empower other women. And the more I dug up on you, the more I realized that that was kind of you. So that's why you're on here.
Oh my god, that was so nice. Do I have to return the favor because I didn't prep
No.
anything about you? I'm
No.
just kidding. I'm totally kidding. You know what? I knew when I was sitting next to you, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get a rise out of this guy," because you and I are opposite in that regard, where you internalize, you're very thoughtful, and you think about even on the podcast that I mean, your podcast that I've listened to, you're very thoughtful and you think things through, and I'm just like trying to get a reaction out of you.
Yeah,
I
for
gave you a
sure.
nickname, Tie Guy, and I
That
got it. I mean, immediately.
I know.
But I have a lot of like friends and people in my life that have similar just energy to you, because I think it's all about balance. Cause it's like you want to be around people. Cause I admire that you can like take a step back, really think through and process things, as opposed to feeling like you have to jump in or you have to be the loudest person in the circle. So I think you and have a good balance in that way, where we're different, but we have our similarities and we show up differently. But that doesn't mean you can't make an impact. So that was fun. I tried to get to you and I did. Once I got a nickname for you, I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I
I
got
mean,
him. Done
one
and
of
done.
yeah, I'm not as, I don't dress as boldly as you either,
You
and
can. You
I mean,
totally
I can,
can.
but the lipstick doesn't work for me.
I mean, maybe not that shade, but
Yeah.
I'm impressed you remember the lipstick. That's impressive. That's a Chanel red that I have.
Is it?
It's a
My
really good
daughters would
red.
like it. So a funny
Yeah, yeah,
story,
yeah.
my youngest, would go to school without lipstick on, and when we went to her kindergarten wrap up last year,
Mhm.
they were basically describing each student, and then it was just the parents, you would have to guess which child it was, and they were describing this girl who was very social. My daughter at home, she's not that social, but she was very social, and she
Mhm.
always came to school wearing lipstick, and then they said it was Tilly, who was our daughter,
Great
and
name. Is her
I
name Matilda? Or
no,
it's just
that
Tilly?
yeah, so
Cute.
yeah, she is cute,
Great name.
thank you. But, my wife and I turned to each other like, "Where is she getting lipstick from?" So, we went home and looked in her backpack, and all the missing lipsticks that my wife had been looking for, she would take, and then she would put the lipstick on the bus. So, like, she was known in her class as the five-year-old who was coming to school wearing lipstick, and we had no idea until kindergarten wrap-up when my wife found a dozen lipsticks in her backpack, so, yeah, we're a
I
big
love
lipstick
her.
family.
I love her so much, and that attention to detail. I think like a lip color is super important. You didn't think you're gonna be talking about lip color on this
No.
podcast. Your
That's
audience is
all
gonna be
game.
like, Tyler, what is going on? Who is this chick? But I love that. Attention to detail. Like that is like my sweet spot. It's like the attention to detail. What will people remember you for? And I love that your daughter. I mean, she was stealing, but she was borrowing. And like
Oh, she's a maniac. She's
I
a
now
maniac.
represent her. I'm now her legal attorney. She was borrowing the lipsticks. She wasn't stealing them. So they got returned. It's totally fine.
Yeah,
But
she's
I
good.
love that.
Yeah, she's a piece of
Um,
work.
that's so funny. How old is your oldest daughter? Or is that your
Not our
oldest?
oldest is 9, so, our youngest is now in 1st grade, our oldest is in 4th grade. We put her into school a little bit early, but she's the more quiet. Like, my daughter t I'm very reserved, and I do,
Hmm.
think a lot, and I internalize a lot, but I can kinda banter with the best of them,
Hmm.
and Tilly's more me, and my older daughter is my wife. She's very reserved, very polite, she can get
Hmm.
along with anyone, very social. She's my wife, so her name's Selby.
Oh, cute. Great names. I mean,
Thanks.
you guys really thought this through. It's always worrisome when you get a bad name. Ugh, I just
Yeah, it
Selby's cool. That's a
it
cool
ruins
name.
it.
And
Yeah.
Is Tilly short for anything or no? It's just
No,
Tilly.
so we oddly enough, I'm not a huge fan of name like, if we were gonna call our kid a certain name, we just wanted
Mhm.
that to be their name.
Yep.
We didn't want to name them something else. So if people ask, I tell people that her name is Tildred, even though it's not
Tildred! That's
like Mildred, because
hilarious.
people call Mildred Millie.
Millie, yep.
So I
Yep.
I tell people her name's Tildred, but it's not.
I think it should be Tildred. I think we change it
It could.
immediately legally to
I'm gonna
Tildred.
do it now. Hold on,
Yeah,
give me a second.
actually,
I'm just
one
gonna
second.
Doug,
This interview is
where's
over.
Doug?
This interview is over. Um,
So
yeah,
I wanna I know that I prefaced who you are,
yes,
but give
yes.
me the quick spiel. We don't have to get into everything,
Yeah,
but just so people kind of understand who you are, where you're coming from.
totally. So I would say like the cliff notes of who I am in the business world is serial entrepreneur, knew I wanted to be a business owner when I was 16. And I own a couple businesses. So I own a jewelry business that received venture capital funding when I was 23, grew, scaled that. Actually, in the process of trying to sell that business, which is really exciting. And then I'm a independent consultant under JDP, where I basically help businesses scale faster and make more money. And I predominantly work with women-owned businesses, but I work with a handful of male-owned businesses as well. But I just know how hard it is to grow and scale a business, that I found that I liked it. I kind of like the mess. I kind of love the chaos,
Yeah.
tying it back into my
Yep.
upbringing. But yeah, I've had those two businesses and then a third retail business I own with a couple other women. But yeah, self-made entrepreneur who's trying to just make businesses better and make more of them stick around. And a lot of them suffer because just the fundamentals, the operational just efficiency just isn't there. And I'm trying to make operations sexy. Like,
Yeah.
it's such an unsexy
Throw some
business.
lipstick on it.
Oh my god, new tagline alert, throw some lipstick on it. Your daughter will be my, she'll be my spokesperson.
Oh, yeah, you'll be good.
Done.
You
Done and
guys would you
done.
guys would get along. So
100%, yeah.
you you were born in Chicago. You're a nice
Yes.
nice Irish girl, right?
Oh,
Just kidding.
Italian, Sicilian, don't even come, yeah. I mean, if you not see me talk with my hands, I could punch somebody. I just talk I mean, I'm, like, sitting on my hands right now so they don't move.
Ah, that's
Um
fine. We'll only pull little clips from this.
Oh, great, good.
What did your parents do that they were supporting 7 kids?
So my mom never worked. My dad was an entrepreneur. So, like, worked in real estate. My dad owned a bar in Chicago called O'Malley's. He drove trucks. Like, my dad worked as many jobs you can think of, and we had a great upbringing. And it was really just my dad was an entrepreneur. He found a way to make money.
Yeah.
Like, that's my favorite thing about entrepreneurs is if, like, they lost their business tomorrow or something happened, like, we would all find a way to make money in the next 24 hours. Doesn't mean it would be necessarily ethical
Yeah.
by any means, or, like, pictures of my feet, but, like, I would somehow find a way to make money. So I grew up in that environment of, like, just non-conventional work. All my friends growing up, their dads were like accountants and lawyers and doctors. And I was like,
Yep.
I don't know what my dad does, but he works really hard.
Makes money.
He makes money. Yeah. And
And I was going to ask you where so you didn't get done college and go get a job. You
mhm,
obviously this is the path that you want to go down. So I was going to ask you where do you think that the entrepreneurial drive came from? Obviously,
mhm.
your dad had a part in that. But
Yeah.
I would assume from somewhat of an early age you knew that you wanted to be involved with business or businesses. How did that kind of come about?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think you realize you want to be a business owner because you just don't feel like you fit in the right place. And that's not in necessarily a negative way, but it's like, even in school, like, just trying to figure out the one thing I want to be. I was like, that feels impossible. Like, I just
So
don't,
hard.
it's like so insane we ask kids to even think about that. Like, it's like, what happens if you have, like, a plethora of skills and,
Mhm.
like, you have, like, environments you like to be in, but that doesn't necessarily mean you wanna be a nurse or you wanna be an engineer or a designer, whatever it is. Like, I never felt like I had, like, one really good skill, and that made me feel like, I don't really know if I have necessarily a career path." And then I was like, "Oh, I know what I do. I just make my own job by making my own business." But that took, like, that takes years for you to realize that, like, not necessarily having, like, a specific set of skills like an engineer or maybe even a doctor in the medical field, like, that doesn't necessarily mean, like, there's not a place for you.
Mhm.
There is, and it's usually in some sort of, like, entrepreneurial space. But I think it was truly just, like, years of feeling like I never really fit in, and that's actually my biggest advantage now, that I can really do whatever I want because I have the capacity to figure it out,
It is
and I
it
don't think a
is
lot of
it
people
is
have
such
that.
it is such a bummer that you do I look back to high school years, even before then, where you figure out what you wanna do, and there's all these kids who, "I know what I wanna do, I wanna do this," and
Mhm,
I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I kinda fell into what I'm doing now, but it created so much anxiety for me,
mhm.
and from freshman till senior year where the time was just ticking away and I wasn't
Right.
making any sort of progress, and it stunted so much of my growth because instead of just figuring out what I was good at or choosing something, I was so focused hyper focused on trying to find one thing, and it was creating so much angst within me that,
Yep.
like you, I think further down the road, I realized that I can be successful in many different fields, and that's okay.
Totally.
But during those formative years, I don't think it was really conducive to breeding success or like an emotional well-being for me.
Mhm. And yeah, it like creates this unnecessary stress and like having to figure out your life and like no one really figures out their life. That's like part of being alive is like you're trying to figure it out as you go. And I would say, like, as a dad of 2 daughters, like the best thing you can do for them. Let me give you parenting advice, even
I'm
though I don't have
ready.
children.
Let
I
me
mean,
grab a
how kind of
notebook.
let me just say, how condescending is that? Let me tell you how to raise your kids. No, but I find, and I'm thinking directly from my experience, like I try and be the person in young women's lives that I didn't necessarily have. And like if someone would have told me sooner that what I'm capable of
Mhm.
and what I can do, and that like was just honest with me about like my skill set, like I would have moved so much faster than I would have already did. Like it took me probably until college for someone to like truly believe in me. And that's not like a sob story, but for me to actually believe it and then them take me under their wing.
Yeah.
And then it was like sky's the limit. But like in high school, I didn't like perform in high school. I didn't think grades mattered. It was like just go to high school, go to college, get some flimsy, major, and then get married and have kids. And then but it wasn't until I had met a mentor when I was working in college, and he really believed in me. And he was like, "You are capable of so much more, and I'm going to push you and challenge you." And like, I'm still in touch with him, and I met him when I was 16. And like, those people make a huge impact on you, and like, you don't realize what you need to hear until you've never heard it before. And that was
Yeah.
kind of the moment for me. And then I applied myself in school, and I just kind of saw, and that potential sometimes goes down, it goes up, but that was huge that like someone could see the potential in me, because society just kind of brings us down as women. It's you're not smart enough, don't talk too loud. Like that starts at a very young age. And you kind of have to shake it loose by being that person to say that's not true.
Yeah.
But that was really impactful, being able to work with someone who believed in me and took me under their wing
Yeah,
and trusted me.
and don't discredit, I realistically, part of the reason that I have you on the podcast is meeting you, and I know I don't know you personally, I met you one
Mhm.
time, but just the
Yep.
energy that you convey and the confidence that you have, it's somebody where, like, I would like my daughters to have the confidence that you have, that my
Oh,
wife
that's so
has, that
sweet.
and
That's so
so,
kind.
like, having you on the podcast is, "Hey, this is somebody that I think could really pave the way for other women,
Hmm.
um, to understand their capacity, their potential, and really be somebody to look up to." And I know that I don't know you, and I don't know your backstory and everything else, but just having the confidence and seeing the way that you interacted with other women and
Hmm.
what you did within the small amount of time that I met you, and just even if it's all made up, like, the fact that you truly believe that you can, like, that's half of the
A
battle, right?
100%.
Like,
A
we're
hundred
all just
percent.
making all this shit up.
Yeah, and anybody that says they have it figured out's a liar. And like, and honestly though, like you can, I truly think the most successful people they've seen some shit, they've been through some hard times, and they've found that like the only way to help other people is, or to be successful, is to truly help the other people around you. I mean, like I had a great upbringing, but like when I was 16, like our parents were impacted by the economic downturn in
Yeah.
2008. Like we lost our home. I didn't have a college fund. Like I had to go to community college for 2 years, and I worked 2 jobs. So I worked 7 days a week, full time student, put myself through college. Like I was managing a restaurant when I was 18. Like and that was so hard while all my friends were like partying and like
It's the
getting drunk
worst.
and like, and it's funny because I would have been like, what a waste of time. I mean, I was done. And then I had transferred to University of Minnesota, and I still continue to work multiple jobs because I, put myself through college. But I would have never valued that experience if it was given to me. And in the moment, it felt really hard. But like now, like I've earned that, and, like, nothing feels better than when you've earned it. There's obviously, like, privilege and opportunity and luck that is all there, but, like, the hard work remains, and, like, that is I feel so, confident in all the work that I've done because I've only done it on my own and then with
So
the people I've brought in my
let me
life.
ask you something with respect to that, because I was very similar. I was
Mhm,
brought up in a white collar town. We were not white collar. I had to
mhm,
work from essentially infancy on, just with
mhm,
family business. Nothing was really handed to me.
mhm,
But do so I worked really hard through high school, through college, and I never really felt as though I enjoyed,
Mm,
like, those formative years, especially college, where everyone's going off to college and just having fun. I ended
mhm,
up going to college, finding a way to get college paid for the most part, but I took it very seriously. And
mhm.
now at 37, life's very serious, and I look back at that time and I'm like, "Why didn't I just have fun?" Like,
Because there's yeah.
do you ever feel like that? Like, right now, it's so serious, and it's work and business, and I do have fun,
Right.
don't get me wrong, but I look like that would have been the time to just enjoy myself. Have,
there
like, 6 or 7
yeah.
kids, you know?
Yep. I mean, I like struck a good balance where it was like I partied in college. Let me tell you something. I had fun in college, but I also was the kind of person that calculated what was the cost of my classes per day and like would I
Yeah.
be okay with losing $250 for not going to that class. But I was also I mean, I figured it out where it's like I can't even believe how much I drank. It's amazing we're still alive after college and it's
I
but like
stopped drinking after college because I
good
was
for
like,
you.
I'm
Yeah.
done. I
You're
don't
like
need
my
to."
body can't sustain
Yeah.
this anymore. Can't be good to just poison myself for 4
I
days
had
out of the
enough.
week. But what I found was the balance of like I could party and have fun, but then I would still show up.
Mhm.
I feel like where I didn't feel this like taking things so serious all the time. I kind of felt like I moved past that just after what happened of me having to pay for college. I moved past that, but I also saw through the people I went to school with, the roommates I had, what happens when it's all only fun and there's
Yep.
no drive and there's nothing more and your parents are writing you a check for your rent and you're like hitting your bong and you're not doing anything else. You're not showing up to your classes. Can you tell them?
They're still
Can
doing that
can you
now.
tell I'm thinking about someone specifically? And I just was so and I would feel so angry because it's like, you don't know how hard it took me just to like afford to share this shitty 3-bedroom house with you. And I can't buy groceries this week because I'm paying for our, fucking electric. But like that subsides because I just know that having drive and maybe taking things a little bit more seriously has only benefited me in my
Mhm.
career. But at the same time, I'm not going to do something if I don't enjoy it and if it's not fun. I'm not a super serious person, can you tell? Um Probably from my upbringing.
I mean, what
And
you are when you have to be.
totally, I mean if the hammer of Thor needs to come down, you're in trouble. And if you're
Yeah.
on the receiving end of it, good luck. But like that doesn't happen because the clients I work with, the people in my life, like they know how I roll. Like clear is kind. It's going to be fun. If it's hard, we're just going to deal with it. But that's like years of like going through hard stuff, working really hard, dealing with difficult people, dealing with really unfun experiences to like have that attitude. Like and I think it's truly your attitude.
Mhm.
But you should have more fun, Tyler.
I
I don't
mean,
know what's going on here.
I do have fun.
You
I'm
just think
very
you would have
hard
yeah.
I'm very hard on myself,
Welcome to the club.
right?
Welcome
And
to
so
the yeah.
there's no let up, there's no respite from that.
I
So,
know.
I look at what point in my life I could have just had freedom from all of that, and I'm
I
like, I had
know.
4 or 5 years in college that I could have just been like, "Fuck it. I'm gonna just see what I wanna do,
Yep.
like, enjoy life and do what I want, and if I pass it." But, like, I was the type where, like, I had to excel academically.
Right.
I had to work throughout college, and it was more to prove a point to myself, and I didn't really enjoy it.
Right.
So I think that I look back on that as, there's times in life and in business and what we're doing where you just seem burnt.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
and I look
Yeah.
back now and I'm like, "Shit, I could have used that time as a freebie because
But
like,
also,
it doesn't
like, people know
matter."
that, but, like, people I feel like a lot of people carry that sentiment, though, about college. You're safe in college. You can't get fired from college. You get expelled, but, like, you gotta really try to do that. So,
Mhm.
like, that sentiment I think there's a lot of common humanity around, like, how safe you are in college. Some
Just not
people yeah.
you.
Right. I don't feel safe. I never felt safe. I was like, not in any other way other than just, like, I have to earn every single thing that
Yeah.
I'm doing. But I get it. You get exhausted and you're like, "Why did I work that hard for when I had an opportunity to kinda, like, loosen my grip a little bit and just
I only
enjoy the
think about it,
experience?"
like, every day, it's not that
Yeah,
bad.
it's not a big deal. Every
Yeah.
other day for me,
Minor,
so
minor. Um, so
super
so
minor.
you had this mentor that kind of,
Yeah,
helped encourage you
yeah.
and realize your potential. Being I understand that during your youth and younger years, you worked more corporate jobs and you had a lot of different jobs, but
Mhm.
what do you attribute a lot of your success from an entrepreneurial standpoint? Um, is it to this mentor? I think that I guess what I'm getting at is, was it a naivete or an ignorance where it's like, hey, I'm going to just start these businesses and be successful? Or was it a certain someone or a situation that was the impetus for you to understand, hey, I can do this?
I mean, it's probably like a mix of both. Like, I think my risk appetite is so high. Again, like you come from a big family, like it's not like there's not rules. It's just, you know when you're in trouble, and it's
Mhm.
usually because something really bad's happened. It's
Yeah.
never like, yeah, there was, and again, it's not saying we weren't disciplined, but like it was very much like, here are the framework, don't fuck it up, or don't call the police, or don't get arrested. Like the extremes were the consequences. So I think growing up in that environment, my appetite for risk is so much higher. And then you have somebody, and it wasn't just the mentor I met when I was younger, it was my business partners that invested in my jewelry business that didn't know me. When there's really smart, successful people that believe in you, you're like, oh, this is like the extra nudge I needed to continue and move forward. And very similar to you, like I'm a pusher. I like really hard things. I like, that's what she said. I'm sorry. We don't have to keep that in there, but I just like set myself up
Yeah,
for that.
run with it.
That was
Run with
like
it.
Michael Scott. I can't
I
help
wasn't
myself.
gonna be the one to say it.
I knew what I was saying as I was saying it too. But I like really, really challenging things, because if I'm bored, it's everybody else's problem. So
Yep.
I started my first business because I wanted my MBA and I couldn't afford it. And then that first business got funding.
So that
Like,
was in college?
so that was
Uh,
out of college. So I'd
okay,
worked
so you
for
were
2
done
years.
college and you realized that you wanted to go back to school.
Yep. So I got my degree in marketing, worked in the marketing agency world for 2 years, was bored. And
That makes sense though. The
yeah.
marketing thing checks out.
Yeah, I'm fluent in marketing. Marketing is just like a second nature. It's what I studied, storytelling, all of that I think is very much in my wheelhouse, but started my
I feel
jewelry
like I know
business.
everything
Yeah.
I need to know. We can wrap this up.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Now
bye.
that yeah, it was good. Yeah, thanks. Maybe next one we'll do it The Office. Sorry,
um
go ahead.
no, but I yeah, started my jewelry business called Mend 2017, and I caught the attention of a woman who wanted to invest in a women-owned business that didn't have the opportunity otherwise. She met me through her network and saw somebody wearing my jewelry, and that's how we got connected. And it's like truly an anomaly. Like these things don't
Mhm.
happen to women. Like we barely get any funding, but for me to get angel investment, like less than a year of business, is very um just like, it's like we're luck and opportunity all meet each other. So I was 23, I quit my job and I ran my first business full time, and I scaled it, and I have it still. It's been 6 years, and the goal is to hopefully have it acquired by another retail brand. So that's how that business came to life. And I truly, and it's like the, back to your question about just your ignorance in the best way possible. Like you'll never have your first business ever again, because you'll never not know what you know now.
Exactly, and so that's where even that question, I think that a lot of people who present themselves, whether it's on social media or just in today's day and
Mhm.
age, present themselves as if like they had everything in order and they knew exactly what was going on, and like a lot of that's bullshit. You were too
100%.
dumb to realize that it was too risky and you just lucked out, right? Or you were so
Yeah.
naive to be go, I could start a jewelry business. How hard
Mhm.
can it be? Like my daughter who's 9 thinks she could start a jewelry business, and
Yes.
like, she could, but realistically, it probably doesn't make sense for her to put her effort into that at 9, right? But the there has to be a certain level of ignorance
Mhm.
there, especially just starting out, to be like, "Yeah, I can do this. Like, nobody can
Totally.
stop me." Because
But
you don't have
yeah.
experience to develop confidence at that point.
No, but the best part is you have smart people that believe in you. And if I think the best skills somebody could have is like problem solving skills. Like
Yep.
if you can figure it out, you could literally do anything for a living. You have like critical thinking, really, like everyone says they're problem solvers, but I have not found people that can like truly figure it
Yeah,
out.
where your
Like,
first instinct is, "How can I fix this?" rather than,
mhm.
"Who can I talk to fix this?"
Totally, and, like, sometimes that if you too extreme of anything is not good, if you always become a fixer, that's probably not good for your mental health, but in, like, business practice, like, I always knew I'd figure it out, and that's what made the partnership work was my business partners weren't experts in retail, but they had invested in other businesses, and they're like, we're willing to take the risk. Let's figure out together, can we scale and grow a retail business in 2 years with funding to back it up?" So I ran that business from 2017 to 2019 full time. I got into Nordstrom. I didn't know how to do that. I just said I could drop ship, and then they were like, "Sure, figure it out."
I have a
And
question.
yeah,
Sorry to interrupt.
no, no, go on.
So I see your brand now, and I see
Yes.
that you're a marketing background. So again, this makes more sense for me. But like the way that you have cultivated this story for this
Hmm.
brand, this jewelry brand, and your branding, everything's on point.
Hmm.
Was that all in place when at this point in your story?
Yep. So the first thing I did when I decided I wanted a jewelry brand was I wanted a logo, and I had to like exchange it for jewelry. I like begged, borrowed, asked friends to take pictures, and I give their wives jewelry. Like, the brand was number one. What's the name? What does it look like? How does it show to market? But again, there's that marketing background. And I had also, the agency I worked at showed you how to pitch, showed you how to get clients. Like, they showed the experience of how to tell a brand story. So I had been around that environment for a few years anyway, so I knew how to do it, and that's what I studied. But you cannot underestimate the power of a brand, because anybody can sell gemstone jewelry. People are in it for the brand. Think about
Eh,
any brand you have in retail. Anybody
That's
could make that product, right?
I it's incredible to hear you say that and to be transparent about that because there's a tough balance there, and I look at your jewelry brand, and your story is that it is, you're connecting women, and it's a
Mhm.
very authentic story, and it's for an emotional man like myself, it's a very strong story, right? That's the
You're
sell,
crying. I think
right?
there's a single tear that
But
I
it is,
just saw
like,
drop.
your brand has a very specific story,
Yep.
and it's authentic, and it's genuine, and it's humble, and it's very down to earth and small
Mhm.
brand, local mentality,
Yep.
and what you're selling is not necessarily it's almost as if the product is somewhat irrelevant,
Mhm.
and the story but it's so counterintuitive because what you're selling is supposed to mean everything.
Mhm.
You understand what I mean?
Yep.
And,
Mhm.
like, I look at your brand, I'm like, "This has to be so close to her heart," but then I'm like, "This could be just marketing genius behind the product," right?
Right. I think just think about like I just cannot harp on it enough. It's like your brand, who you're connected, and you have to believe it. Like, if you don't believe in what you're selling, then that's like skeezy sales. But like, I believe in the brand because I created it and I feel connected to it, and my customers are the only reason why I exist. So if they're not feeling connected to my product, then the business doesn't exist. And I am truly doing it to serve them and serve other women and people that gift my product to other women that are thinking of them. Like, that's the point. It's to bring them together through the
Did
product.
did the story come from your artistic vision, or was it the other way around? Like, the artistic vision came from the marketing
It's probably
side of
both.
things?
Yeah, I think once the name came about, I was like, okay, this is to means to heal. And at the time, I was also like going through the healing personally. So it was like an
Mhm.
outlet to kind of like tell that story. And like, the amount of women I've connected to that like have bought pieces or bought it for somebody that was going through a hard time or celebrating a good time, like those stories are endless. Like, think about a product you have and an experience that's tied to it. And if it's positive, like, you associate that experience with the brand. And like, that's what retail is. And if you're just trying to sell units or push a product, like, that's fine. You can make money doing that, but like, your customers can see right through that. Like, and that's just not what I wanted. I believe in a good brand, and again, I don't exist without my customers. And like, it's not the other way around. Like, I am here to serve them and connect with them and provide a good product. Um,
Do
but
you
yeah.
So this business is all female owned, female designed. I see that
Mhm.
you may source you're using companies within the United States to
Yep.
source to international companies, but
Yep.
everything that you're doing almost leads you to be small scale shop. is
Mhm.
there an opportunity to scale a business like this when the entire story for the business is that localized, very close to home, marketing story?
Mhm.
Or
Oh,
is that
I
not the
mean,
goal?
absolutely, but I and that was the original goal prior to the pandemic, and I initially was gonna try and grow it and, like, truly scale it on a more national level, but fun fact, retail's really hard, and the retail industry has totally been transformed by the pandemic. I actually think for the better. I think it's kind of shaken an industry that's been a little archaic at times, and I've also learned personally, like, what I thought I wanted for the business isn't what I really want for the business long term. Like,
What's that?
I thought I wanted it to be a multi-million dollar next Kendra Scott brand, and I saw how hard it took to grow it to 6 figures with funding, that I just realized this isn't the this isn't the vision I thought it was gonna be. It was like expectations versus what the reality is for the business. What I loved about the business was, like, trying to get it to scale. What is, like, the nuts and bolts of, like, making those decisions and hitting those revenue goals, which is, like, what ties me into what I do as a consultant now. But doing that and running that full time, I just didn't see myself for the next 15 years growing the business to get to that level. It's just too hard, and I just don't love retail. It's a
Ha
really hard business, and it's not. I don't think I have the interest in scaling it like that anymore.
had you considered what it would look like to be able to sustain growth with a business that was, um, formulated around this kind of sense of self and intimacy with the
Mhm.
product? Like, it and that's where I struggle even with my business,
Mhm.
that it's so small scale boutique, and how do you grow that and maintain that same level of connection? Did you really think that through at all with this business?
That so welcome to just a challenging business problem to solve, and I think it's you want the brand to still feel, or whoever your customers are, you still want them to feel special and have this intimate connection with the brand, but then how do you scale it to the actual
Mhm.
revenue that you wanna get to? What's
That's
so hard
hard.
what's so hard about that, and this is so as a consultant now, so, like, I still have my jewelry brand, she's sustaining she's a she. She's sustaining on her own,
How could
my
she not be?
right, and my consulting business is truly answering questions like that, and what I tell people is, like, operations issues, every single company is it has a challenge with them, every single one, and there's, like, trends I see amongst different clients, but, like, what I would tell you is different than what I would tell someone else in your industry. Everybody's business makeup is a little bit different, and, like, when you say you wanna keep, like, the intimacy and the connection with your customer, I think, well, what does that actually mean? Like, is that like who you work with, how many people you work with, how you work with them? Like, there's so many like qualifying questions that I have to ask you before we even can identify if that's actually what you're looking for. Cause that may
Yeah,
not even be what you're trying to do.
it is, and, like, to avoid getting into specifics, I just think that the
I want
difficult
all the
part of that,
specifics.
it's
Open up your
just
business. Let's
maintaining
hear it.
that authenticity, right?
Mhm.
And
But
being
that's
able to
you.
like, I want the story to be what's
Mhm.
actually happening. Like, I don't want the story, I want the marketing and the art and everything to kind of coincide, and from a business standpoint, that doesn't make that much sense. It's very difficult to
Mhm.
scale a business
Right.
when, so I figured out with my business how to make money by not having to scale. There's
Mhm.
pros and cons to that, but I've always thought that that would be the challenge, and what I would see as being a difficult challenge with the jewelry business that you had.
Totally. Yeah, and I think when it comes to, like, telling that story from a branding perspective, it's you never lose sight of where you came from, and you never lose sight of taking care of the people that your customers that have been with you from the start. So, like, that's a big piece of, like, if you're continuing to scale and grow and your customer base triples, like, how you don't lose that intimacy, and if I'm just thinking about my brand specifically, like, how am I kind of taking care of those like loyal customers that have been there from the start? And like I have different loyalty and VIP programs for those people that have like been with it, purchasing every single year for the past 6 years. So like there's a way you can make people feel special and feel like it's for them by truly just like incentivizing them, acknowledging them. Like there's so many ways you can do it. Um, but again, if you lose just the initial purpose of why you started a business, like your customers will know, they'll know something's changed. Like
Yeah, they're gonna see through it.
we underestimate how smart our consumers are. Like I truly think, like, they can see through the performative marketing, the whatever it is, and it's okay if your business changes, like, that's A-okay, but if you're not communicating that properly, that's where you start to lose just the brand awareness and brand loyalty people have bought into. We've seen it all the time with big brands that, like,
Yeah.
say one thing and do a different thing and act one way, and then you're like, "Well, I don't you've lost my trust." And trying to get trust back is really hard for any business.
Yeah, and I think that you have to keep those people on board, whether it's through
Mhm,
your service, through the experience, or through the product.
mhm.
And if all of those things are changing, there's enough of a market for other companies out there that they have an opportunity to jump ship.
Totally.
Um,
Totally,
so
totally.
the one thing, did you ever consider when you go to type into Google men's jewelry that it just wants to autocorrect to men's jewelry, and now my algorithm just shows me
I
jewelry for
know.
men
I don't
all
wanna
day
try
long?
I don't know, I'm
I
not
didn't
taking
even know there was
questions
this
this
much men's
time.
jewelry, and that's all I see now, just men's jewelry. Alright, so we temporarily lost your microphone. Do we have to get Doug here again? I can't hear you. Oh, I can hear you now.
Now. So, that was a real life use case of problem solving, not
What
panicking.
happened?
It says that my mic was unplugged. That was so bizarre.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's working now. No, that's fine. Yeah, so back to men's
Oh,
jewelry.
yeah. Well, I the amount of requests I've gotten to design jewelry for men is I mean, it's a laundry list. Not my target market. There's a huge market for men jewelry. Yeah, yeah, I can't believe you don't wear, like, bracelets, no rings, nothing?
Um, so I had a pretty classic, just gold old man men's wedding ring that I wore, but it was
Yep.
becoming dangerous with work. So I stopped wearing the gold wedding ring and wear a fake gold wedding ring now. But
Cool.
I'm not a huge jewelry person.
Well, yeah, if you're on yeah, you're on the job, it's too risky, but, like, maybe jazz it up with a gold chain sometime. Maybe night out, just,
I don't have
surprise your
that much.
wife.
I'm only a little Italian, just a little, and I also don't have chest hair. Like I don't grow chest hair, so I feel like you have to grow chest hair to wear a gold
100%,
chain.
and the
I
fact that
know, and
you
I
don't
have like
is very funny.
6. I have like 6, and 3 of them are coming out of a mole, and I feel like they would be blonde otherwise. So
First off, that is more of a reason to get a gold chain and
you
definitely
think?
unbutton it to show the lack of chest hair that you
I
have.
don't know. Maybe
Wow.
I could get maybe I can get chest hair plugs.
Just draw it. She won't know. She won't know.
You
Just get, like, some sort of, like, fake
But you
hair and just look
I
so
see,
bad.
when I envision the chest hair, it's a V-neck and then chest, and it pushes the shirt out a little. Like,
Yeah,
that's
oh,
when you
wow.
really, and I don't,
Yeah.
I don't have it.
You're thinking Mark
I don't.
Ruffalo. Yeah, Mark Ruffalo has chest hair like that, very specific or, like,
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac. I'm just going through my, like,
I don't know
heartthrobs of
Oscar I don't
Hollywood.
know Oscar Isaac, but he sounds hairy.
First
He
off,
sounds hairy.
I
I'm gonna have
mean,
to let me look him up.
first off, he is
Who
my
is he?
number 1. He's an actor. He was in Marriage Story, he was, Moon Knight, if you're, like, in the Marvel world. He
No,
Ex
I
Machina was, like, the big
I'll
kinda
be
movie he
honest, he
did.
doesn't even look familiar at all.
What? We have
No.
to have a separate conversation about pop culture, Tyler, and, like, your
Oh,
level of knowledge.
I would be the worst. I'm just not hip to pop culture. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
I
I'd be a terrible. I'm
You've
typing in
never seen him?
Oscar Isaac chest hair.
What about Pedro
See.
Pascal? Does that ring a
No,
bell?
he
Are you
doesn't even have chest hair.
He
Every photo that I
doesn't?
bring up, he's like a one of those cats that doesn't grow hair. He
Wow.
looks like he would have
What
chest
about
hair.
Pedro Pascal? Do you know who that is from The Last of Us?
No, never heard of
Oh
him.
my god. Tyler,
See if he
I
has a hairy chest.
so this does this mean you don't know what's really going on with, like, internet culture, the latest, like,
No,
online
no, I
controversies, and
don't.
wow, we have to
He's
have a
not very
separate.
hairy either.
I feel like they are. I'm worried about your search history
You
now.
you
It's
think that
gonna be
it's you think that it's photoshopped or shaved?
who you know what? Who knows? But
My
I do
wife's
think you
gonna
need
go
to
on to my search history and be like, "Yo, what is up?"
she's gonna be like, "So why are you looking up hair, chest implants? Everything okay? I see a lot of gold necklaces,
I see
but
a
for
lot of Jordyn
men,
DiOrio gold necklaces and
chest
chest
hair."
hair and men's jewelry. Do we need to talk?
Yeah, everything okay over there?
That's
Anyway,
funny.
sorry for the mic issue. That was just classic problem solving 101.
No,
You
you're
just figure
good.
it out.
So you also host a podcast with Sarah
Mhm,
Schultz, who I
I
met
do.
at the event, another big personality.
Yes, love her.
Um, yeah, it's super talented as
Mhm.
well. Where'd you guys get the idea for a podcast? Did you know each other? I know she did your brand, but like, how did you guys meet? Where did the podcast idea come from?
Yep, so she did the branding for JDP Console, which I rebranded last year. She did a fantastic job, very much like bold approach to just operations consultants, like fantastic site. She did such a good job with the branding. Her and I have been friends for 5 or 6 years. So I met her when I had launched Mend and she had a retail brand. So her and I have just kind of stayed close. She's her and I have just so much fun together and she's a creative,
You
she's a
can
branding
tell.
agency. Yeah, her and we've traveled to
I
New
want to
York
come on your
together.
podcast with you 2.
You
I
would
don't
be
think I'd get a
scared.
good reception. Yeah, but if I do it, mark my words, if I do it, I'm coming in a V-neck with
Yes,
fake chest hair and
with
a, like,
a gold
faux
chain.
gold chain. Faux, because 'cause I'm not
100. That
spending the money on a real one.
oh, lame. We can get you a good one for a good deal. Come
I
on,
mean, then
real
you can do
only.
that, write it
100%, and then
off,
I'll keep it, and
podcast
then I'll keep it.
expense. That's
100%
fine.
done.
You just have to pick the fake chest hair out of it.
Oh god, yeah. But her and I had been friends for years, and I had come up with the idea of the refund because I had, no surprise, a future business idea where I would like to eventually have my own investment firm, or like I basically, invest in women owned businesses as an angel investor, just like my business owner did for my jewelry business, called the refund, the idea of returning, the idea of funding. Since I'm not a millionaire yet, and I don't have the money to start an investment firm. Sarah and I had been taking a walk last summer in Minneapolis. She had just found out she was pregnant. And I was like, hey, I think we should start a content series called The Refund. I have all the branding done. And it's the idea of like returning old business ideas, specifically for women that just don't serve them or that there's only one way to do a business. Just as you and I have been talking about, like, no one really knows what they're doing, but everyone acts like they know what they're doing. And I think that stops a
Mhm.
lot of people from either growing their business, starting a business, or even stopping their business. So her and I had an idea in June. Less than 6 months later, we had filmed our first season. We had a live show last fall, and then we're currently rolling out the rest of season 2 that we filmed in one day. We filmed an entire season in one day.
It's
We're
so I mean, everything that you do,
maniacs.
the branding is on point, the marketing is on point, it's well produced, it's good, like,
Kaylee Lemoyne is our videographer. She is the reason why it exists, and she has not fired us yet. And we did a season 2 launch live event last 2 weeks ago, and Lululemon sponsored us for the show, which was awesome. We got to bring in a bunch of vendors, and it was our first sold out show. So it's
where
really,
was
really
that
exciting.
in
hmm
Minneapolis?
So we
That's
we were at
super cool.
their experiential store at Lululemon. So they were willing to support us, and it was such a great. It's been a really fun ride, and we're hoping to do a season 3. And yeah, again, it's one of those things where you're like, we're going to try it. We've never done it before. We'll learn as we go. If it works, great. If it drives more awareness to the work that we do, if it inspires people to start their own businesses, awesome. If it doesn't work, we have, how many episodes? 10, no more. We probably have like 20 episodes of like really amazing free content on different business
Yeah.
topics that people have access to. Like it's a win-win no matter what.
Where do you think you girls got the confidence to get on camera or on podcast and just return and basically shut down principles and standards of business that have been the status quo for so long?
We're just tired. I'm tired. I don't give a shit anymore. I mean, truly, like, you wanna come for me after I've grown a retail business with funding. I'm currently running a consulting business, like, there's not one way to run a business. I think Sarah and I have just dealt with a lot, and I think that
Yeah.
we're just like, "Fuck it. I don't care." I mean, you were a white male, but let me just there are enough white men doing podcasts, sharing their opinions as if it's the only way, and I just think that there's more room for people to play. And it's not a hit at you. You've done it. You've been very successful in what you've done, but we see how easy it is.
Debatable.
We see how easy it is for anybody to start a podcast, and we're like, why are we, holding ourselves back? Like, let's try it. So to me, it's like, and I still get nervous being in front of a camera. Like, that's taken work. And I work with, coaches to make it the best experience, but we just want to have fun. And we were like, if we can have people feel like they're like having a cup of coffee with us and sitting on the couch and having a real conversation about business, none of this like, look at how great I am, look at all this money I'm making, versus like, no, let us give you the information that people are like gatekeeping in business, especially as women, because I think there's enough money and enough business ideas to go around. So I just think we were like, why not? At this point,
Yeah, I
like,
mean, I'll be honest, I think it's great. I love it. Like, and I love the cadence. I love the delivery of it.
mhm,
If you're uncomfortable on camera, again, I don't know you that well personally, but
yeah,
watching it as a consumer, you can't tell. You girls look very natural. You have
yeah,
a really good cadence and banter between each other,
hmm,
and even like it's good. Like I watch it. It's good. I like it. I like what you guys are doing, and I obviously, I'm biased being that I have a wife who is in corporate America and I have 2 daughters that I want to fucking
hmm,
kick ass in life. But, like, I love what you guys are putting out and the fact that you basically are tossing your fingers up and being like, "Screw you. This isn't the way that things have to be done. We don't want to abide by your rules. You
hmm.
guys can take it and basically shove it up your asses."
Well,
And, like
I mean, it's just that like you there again, like there's just not one way to literally do anything. And I think the world has changed and I think it's all good. I don't think it's easier to start a business. I think there's way more resources and it's more accessible, but also like, oh, Tyler, if I had a nickel for every just like, you know, person in business that like isn't a woman that gets funding and they either just totally shit the bed or they have really bad business practices or they, totally just run the business into like the ground, and I see all these women owned businesses that have business plans that are bringing money and they're just not getting funding, like
Mhm.
that's the driving force, that it's like there are a lot of really capable, smart, women-owned businesses that, like, deserve to have just as much success, and the tides are turning, but it's like, for every good story, there's usually, like, some tech bro who just got so much more money after burning his last business
Yeah.
into the ground. I mean, look at the guy at WeWork. Like, he totally just crushed that company, and now he got tons of money to start a real estate business. It's like, how is that supposed to be, progress if we're just continually just celebrating the people that aren't even running successful businesses, they don't even have plans, like it's just that's what's so hard, and like that's what
It
fuels me is just like, yeah, I get very
But
heated
that
about it.
experience and that's cool, like, the experience that you guys have and what you've done with your businesses
Hmm,
gives you enough confidence to sit in front of a camera or get on a podcast together
hmm,
or by yourself, like, Sarah's not with you right now, and you
hmm,
still convey the same attitude, the same strength, determination,
totally.
and the same mindset that this is through your experience and what you've experienced, and obviously that's far different than what I have, but everything that you're bringing to the table is legit. Like the fact that you're uncomfortable on camera and you're going to a coach, you're flying to New York and you're film like that's above and beyond what most people what I'm doing for our podcast. Like it's almost
Hmm,
the podcast was always just second to my
hmm,
main business and the approach that you take towards business, and that's why I asked you even with your jewelry line, did you have branding in like you're doing everything the way it should be done, and like people should take note because
yeah,
that like this is the order of operate, and sure you're going to make mistakes and there's
totally.
experience there, but like whether you're a female or a male
Hmm,
shouldn't fucking matter.
totally, yeah. And I liked this is again, I feel like with me and in anything that I do. I am all in or I am all out. Like I am
Gas
not
on or gas
flaky.
off.
I'm not wishy-washy. It's if I'm in, I'm in. And it's again not always a good thing. My therapist is like, you can't always be at 150. I'm like, but that's like that's my 100%. And like with my
Yeah.
consulting business, I am all in. That business is growing. I've just committed to growing that. The refund, the same thing. I keep telling Sarah and Kaylee, I go, we're gonna get picked up by HBO. We're gonna get picked up. Like this will turn into something because we are
I think if
putting our
you
best
and
foot
Nick got
forward.
in a room, you guys would explode the room. Like, Nick is very much like you. Like,
Yeah,
it's kinda
I'm
good
all
he's not
in.
on here 'cause I think you guys would be,
Would have
like,
killed
having a
each other.
presidential
We
no, you would
yeah.
have had presidential campaign, like, by the time this got done. You're
Yes.
both, like, just on
Yes.
another level.
It's again, and you're similar in this regard where it's like I hold myself to a high standard, I hold other people to a high standard, but that is hard because then sometimes people don't hit your expectations, including yourself, and then you are disappointed, but you've exceeded so much more than what others
Mhm.
would have put themselves in. So it's again, everything is within a balance, but like I like to tell people, like if you're gonna do something, like just do it the right way. You get one shot, do it the right way. Like I'm so tired of like lack of commitment, half-assing stuff, not showing up. Like that is what differentiates people. Like the people that get there and they show up and it's 100%. Like the reasons why everybody can start a podcast because they think it's easy and they think that their ideas are worth sharing. But it's like, show me the production quality, show me the scripts, show me the branding. Like those are the ones that are going to be successful. And I just get on
Yeah.
my soapbox because I've seen so many people have ideas and no one does anything with them. Like execution is what brings things to life. I don't care about your ideas, show me. Like show me and show up. I'm so fun to work for. Can you just imagine working for me?
I mean,
I just
I'm ready to move, like, half my car is already packed. I'm
I
ready to
just
hire
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So JDP is your
Yes.
consulting business,
Yep.
and you worked on developing that brand and website with Sarah.
Yes.
And my first question for you regarding JDP is, what clients are you looking to attract? And the reason that I ask
Mhm.
that is because when I see your website, I truly feel that it embodies and personifies you and your personality of what I
Yeah,
know
because
of it. Like, when I
it's
go on the
obnoxious.
website, it's you. Like, it's professional, it's clean, it has an artistic side,
Mhm.
but it's very fun, it's very bold, and it's literally a technological version of Jordyn, and
It
I
it is.
L like, you're attracting a very specific customer, and what
Mhm.
does that customer look like for you? Because I can't see, like, Mr. Suit and Tie going on your website and being like,
Mm-mm.
"I wanna hire Jordyn to really work on my business model," right? Like, that's not l who you're looking for.
No, I it's so funny you say that because my original branding, that was the biggest piece of feedback I got was, "The colors you're using are safe." It says, "I'm for everybody." And this updated branding was, again, you want it to be fun, you want it to be bold, but the people I'm looking for are ready to make some radical transformations in their business. And the work I do is very hard. I know we've talked about I like challenging problems, but usually someone has hired me because something's not working. Their business is not making money, they don't know if they can hire somebody, they're ready to sell their business but like they don't know if the valuation is proper, like is enough to get a yes from somebody. Like operations is like it touches every single part of the business. So I'm industry agnostic because like I've worked in events,
Yeah.
I've worked in your industry, I worked with Jay Kath, who I know have you had Katie on your podcast or was that
Yeah,
Brad's
we
or
did.
has she been on both? Okay, because I've listened to it might have been yours with her, but I've worked with Katie's business. I'm familiar with the remodeling, building. I'm totally just butchering the industry that you're in. I
No,
just called
what
it the
so when
building
the
industry.
the build
The bricks, the
damn
piling the bricks industry. Wow.
damn manly industry.
I was just gonna say your
No, but
audience must love me right
no,
now.
it's funny because so I didn't know Katie until we met, and um, t when we had a different structure with the podcast, I'm just
Yeah,
not that outgoing, and I wanna
yeah,
sit there and I wanna absorb, and when there was 2 other guests, I was able to just sit back and absorb and listen and wouldn't really have that much to say, but I do
yep.
recall when her calendar alert came up in my phone, I thought it was Kathy Kath, and I'm like, who the hell names their kid
Kathy
Kathy Cat?
Cat.
That's so weird.
That would be funny.
And
Um,
then, like, we get on, they're like, "This is Katie," and I'm like, "Alright, that makes way more
you're like,
sense
"Oh,
now."
deep breath. I was just about to
Thank
roast you on your
goodness. I was
name."
just about to call
Just
you Kathy.
That's so funny. I adore her, but yeah, I've worked in the events industry, weight loss, wellness space, software technology. Like, there's truly no, it's just different problems I'm trying to solve. But I think the biggest differentiator with the type of client that I'm attracting, and they're usually like medium to large size, and medium in my mind, well, it's actually more small. Small is going to be like 500,000 to a couple million, and then your medium is your like 15 to $50 million clients. And I still make
Okay.
room for my startup friends that are less than 500,000. Services are different, but like, I know, like, a strong business that's scaling, it starts at the beginning. So, like, even for my startup friends, if they can't afford a larger project with me, there are things that I can help them with to set them up operationally to grow. But the biggest thing that I find is people say they want change. People say they want to transform and either make more money, sell better services, operationally just be way more efficient and stop spending time in processes and systems that work. But do they actually want the change? And part of my interview process is, I'm not just going to throw a system at you. I'm not just going to tell you do this and this. I'll put together spreadsheets like you've never seen. But if, like, you as the stakeholder, you as the individual, if you're not ready to transform, this isn't going to work. And I'm not going to let you pay me money. I'm just not. The amount of times I've done projects and they're like, well, it didn't work. It's like, well, because you didn't change. You didn't become the version of the business owner that you need to be to grow your business and sell it, or to grow your business and hire your next 5 employees. Like, part of what I do, I feel like, is coaching, and I'm not a certified coach in any way, shape, or form. But I know whether or not I'm going to work with somebody based on their capacity to change. And I ask them, are you ready? Do you know this is going to be work? The amount of times people have cried while working with me, not because I'm mean, but because I'm unearthing things that they didn't realize were issues, and that, like, they need to change and like adapt to what's happening, or it's just not going to work. But that's the kind of leader I am. I'm aggressive. I'm honest. There's no sugarcoating. It's so fun. And if you make more money and your business is more successful, like, the idea is that you hire me once and then that's it. Then I deuce. I deuces. I don't deuce. That's not the right phrase. That
No,
means
that is
something
not
else.
at all.
I would be
That is
deuces.
not
Douglas,
deuces.
Douglas,
No,
cut
Doug's
that.
not editing that, he's not cutting this or the other
Or,
one.
or Doug, clip it. That's the promo.
Yeah,
Um,
that could be the promo. It's a toss up right now. I think
yeah,
that
there's
this
so
one's more
many.
user friendly. This one's more user friendly. Or
Then the
it could be the beginning where you didn't know that we could hear you and you're just struggling saying, "What is I'm in my bedroom right now. Why does my bedroom look like this?" All of these are
please.
good. They're all
It's
options.
They're so, listen, I have no shame. At this point, who cares? But anyways, that's the approach. I think the biggest it's, I mean, it's an investment working with me, but like, again, I'm all in or I'm all out. I give, it doesn't matter the size of the contract. Like, I am a part of your team for whatever the duration of the agreement is. Like, and my goal is just to make your business better. And it's going to be hard, but like, that's why there's not a lot of people in this business as, fractional COOs, because it's really, really, really hard. But I love it. I
What
love untangling the mess.
When did you realize that a lot of the business principles can transcend industry? That you will work in all of these different fields with all these different companies and
Mhm.
still be confident in your abilities, that you're going to be able to take what you learned from one experience into another experience and that you can tailor that to fit that industry.
Honestly, it was just based on the people reaching out to me. Like, just seeing every single industry show up to me, that was kind of the aha moment, because at first I thought it was a certain type of business, but it was the people that came to me, or the people that were asking me for coffee. That thing where it's just like, want to pick your brain, and it's like, "Oh, well, what industry are you in?" "Oh, you're in X, Y, and Z." Like, "Oh, I can help." Like, there's just like a, yeah, there are like business principles that like will transcend every industry. I knew it because people were reaching out to me that like I would have never reached out to as a client, because
Mhm.
I didn't think that they were struggling with it. So it was just through just like my network and people finding out about what I do, and that's how they find me.
I think that that's a big differentiator with an entrepreneurial type spirit or person, that they're able to see through that, and they're not necessarily
Mhm.
bound to industry where you could take what you do and I could drop you into 4 different businesses and you would be
Mhm.
successful because of your drive and the way that your mind works and the way that you see a problem through. And I think
Mhm.
that a lot of that is just the entrepreneurial background and spirit that drives
Totally.
you. And I think that a lot of people in business are so narrow-minded and they have these blinders on that they can't see outside of it. Or they're not willing to open up and accept help
Right.
from outside of their little network when
I
it's
know.
like that perspective can be so useful.
Yeah, you gotta be okay with being wrong and, like, knowing that it's gonna look like, that's
And
the
just
thing
at
with
least
yeah.
admitting
It just say or that you don't know. Like, the biggest thing with my clients is it's like, I am transparent. If I don't know something, I'll tell you. If something isn't working, like, I said this on Brad's podcast, and it's like communication continues to be one of the biggest issues across does it's not even just operations, just in business issues in general that I've seen for different companies that I've worked with. We don't know how to talk to each other. We don't know how to communicate, and we get so worked up and think it's really complicated. But it's really not. Like I said this on his podcast, like clear is kind. Brene Brown said it. Like just communicating and being confident, knowing that, like, hey, I mean, how many times have timelines changed on your projects? Probably like every other day. Like, instead of just like hiding from your client and them getting pissed off, being like, hey, this is what happened. We're going to resolve it. There's no confusion. But I think everything
it
comes down to just communicating clearly and setting expectations. It's truly not that
I
hard. We've made it
I
too complicated.
it is, and it's not even business, that's life. Like, I
Correct.
experience that with life, with human interactions all the
Mhm.
time,
Yep.
where there's an issue and you go to 3 other people or you hear like, if there's an issue, just go to that person, tell what the issue is, and then figure out how to move forward rather than,
Totally. Stewing and
"I
just
just don't get
spinning.
it." It's insane, like, the amount of effort that you put into creating and orchestrating this entire scheme
Mhm.
where you could literally just go to the person and be like, "Hey, this is the issue, you can't do this anymore. If you want to do that, you have to do this." And then, like,
Yep.
there's no gray area, there's no wasted breath, and the problem begins to get sorted out at that point.
You wanna know why? Because problem solving is not a skill everybody has. So it's easier to just, like, stew and be like, just com" people love complaining and, like, time is our only currency, people. I don't have time for this. It's like, you've hired me to, like, address the problems, and again, we can do it in a way that's gentle. Clearly, I'm not super gentle in my demeanor, but, like, I can be. I'm not just here to punch you in the face, but, like, this is what you've
Yeah, you're
hired
not
me
a
for.
drill sergeant.
No, but, like, I care about you and, like, you specifically, Tyler, but, like, I care about their business, and I want them to be successful. And again, I've been brought into the business that I'm in because it's hard and it's not for everybody, but again, you're wasting time if you want me to tell you how great your business is. That's not what I'm here for. I'll tell you what's working, but I'm also gonna tell you what's not working because that you wouldn't hire me if everything was great. And I think people are they're just afraid to have hard conversations, but that's like a
I think that's
general,
what
like,
it is.
skill. It's just
I
hard
think that's what it
conversations.
is.
Yep.
Even more so than problem solving because
Yeah.
I obviously problem solving is a skill set and it's
Yep.
like some people do it better than others, but I think in general as a society we have such trouble having hard conversations or telling people
Totally.
what they don't want to hear. We want to please people and customers with the schedule thing. It's like you don't want to disappoint your customers
Yep.
where you lack accountability where if you just told them what was happening and had that conversation with them we don't want to do people can they want to please people and they do not understand how to have difficult conversations without just
Totally.
getting to the boiling over point where you flip
Right,
out at somebody,
and
right?
then
There's
it's a
no
real
in between.
conflict.
Yeah,
Right, and, like, again, hard conversations, like, I respect somebody more who's willing to, like, have a difficult conversation about maybe things that aren't working, and they're just approaching it, and you can approach difficult things with empathy, like, it doesn't have to get to the point where, like, your customer is pissed off, but, like, again, if I think about it in your industry, if, Tyler, you said to me, "Hey, here's our tentative timeline, just so you know, there's a chance there's a 2-week delay depending on X, Y, and Z," like, cool. I get it. I know that there's a risk there, but if we're like, everything's going to be on time, we're going to give you the best experience, then you're just setting yourself up for failure. Like, hey, things
absolutely.
change. Like, no plan ever goes, and as a planner who lives and breathes planning, no plan ever is fully executed to every single every single part of that plan that you've built. It's like people need to like let go of that. And that's just control. Now we're just talking about big life themes. I feel like I'm in
I
therapy.
know. I
Control,
love it. I love it.
tough conversations, and like at the end of the day, like I work for people, not companies. That's also why I'm industry agnostic, is like I can work with any industry. It's the people. It has to be people that like are really willing to change and that like are good people and they're fun and they want to get on board with this project that's going to be really challenging. And like if it's not fun, if I don't enjoy being around them, I'm not going to do it. Like again, I will
Yeah.
find a way to make money. Like, you are not gonna bully me into a project because I need to cash a check. Like, I will find a way to make money, and it's
That's the nice thing too, right? Is that if you aren't happy, there's no amount of money that's gonna just because
correct.
you have an opportunity to go a different route. Like
But you have to learn
you're not
that
these
though.
financial handcuffs.
But that like
Well,
takes
yeah, it's
years of like really bad clients having to fire people. Like that becomes such a privilege. But like I encourage people, have the bad client. Know what it's like to like undercharge for something, because then you're more confident in selling a more expensive package or saying no
or
to a
protecting
project.
yourself.
Totally. And as women, we do not do that. We think we have to say yes to everybody all the time and that we're always available. But you only learn that by like being pushed too far and being like,
Yep.
okay,
Being taken advantage of.
new boundary unlocked in the game of life that I'm playing. You no longer get access to my time. But again, that's experience of just dealing with bullshit. And like you can't
Yeah,
avoid that. Just like deal with it, move on, cash the check, and then find somebody else who you like more to work with.
I love it.
Really smart, intelligent advice for me, clearly.
It it
Um,
it's sage advice though, and
yeah.
so that comes from experience and having
Hmm.
confidence and esteem
Yep.
within yourself to know that one shitty customer doesn't define you and it doesn't define you what you do
Totally.
as a business. And it's okay to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to do this. I don't
Hmm.
need to work for you. I can go figure some, I could change careers or I could just go figure there's a customer out there that values what I do and likes what I do.
Yep.
And I want to go work for them. But like,
Yep.
there's a lot of people who just start out or don't have enough confidence in themselves that they're just going to get beat
And
down
I've
and let
been there.
customers walk
Yeah.
all over them.
Totally
And
been there.
it's like, why? Why be in business for yourself at that point? If you're just getting beat up, you're not having
Totally.
fun, and you're probably not
Totally.
making that much money at that point.
Right, because you are losing money on your mental health. There is a dollar value to your mental health, your wealth. No, and no one is worth compromising your health over, like ever.
No,
It's
absolutely not.
like it, and again, you learn that after a couple bad contracts. And if you really want to know if you want to work with somebody, see how they treat their employees, see how they talk to other people, regardless of their title. That's an indication of how they're going to treat you, is how they're talking to other people. And if I would have known that, I would have not worked with a couple people based on how they treated their teams, because that just kind of shows you who they are. And there's too
Yeah, it's
many good
indicative of the
people.
bigger picture.
Yeah, and there's too many good, really hardworking business owners and people and companies that need help. Like, give them your time. Like, I'm clearly an abundance person. I think there's more where that came from, always. So I hope more people feel that way. Even in the work that I do, I have so many friends of mine that are in the operation space, and I'm not threatened by them. I'm actually happy if I'm up against them because that means that someone's hiring an ops person. Thank God.
Yeah.
Do the work. Like it
No,
does. Like yeah, that's it. That's all
um,
I got. Anything else, Tyler? You want me to talk for another
no,
hour?
no, I'm just getting to the point of the conversation I'm actually very excited about.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
and we'll lead into that with the Founders Collaborative, right?
Okay. Yep.
That's another business that you own. And I listened to a little bit what you were describing about that, and essentially, I mean, why don't you explain what it is?
Mhm. So that business started, I think, in 2018. It was myself and two other retail business owners, Brittany Travis of B&D Custom Crafts, and then Heidi Mueller, who owns Excelsior Candle Co. And for, I think, like the first 3 years, what we did is we would negotiate with malls within the Twin Cities to host us for a pop up, because mall rent is expensive. It's not accessible for everybody. And we want to figure out a way to get in front of our customers because we're small businesses. So what we did is we started this collective, and we would have temporary stores at these large malls. And this is before the pandemic, and we had a store, I think, the first year of the pandemic as well, which Brittany's business ran, but we basically would be carrying small businesses to give them the exposure of getting into a mall. So the past couple of years, we've had a couple stores. This past winter, I haven't been a part of this store opening, but in a really nice area of Minneapolis where there's like this really cute strip of stores. There's a store that's temporary, a Founders Co store that's open that's carrying all local women owned, mostly women owned brands. So we're trying to find a way to like lower the barrier for entry for small businesses and retail to like get into stores without having to operate a store. So that's like, I'm in that business. I'm not as much involved as I was a few years ago, but it's still up and running
So
and supporting small businesses, which is great.
was the catalyst for that business and the thought behind starting that business to just get a group of people together to have a little bit more power behind you
Correct.
so that it wasn't like one person going to bat for everyone, and then essentially
Correct.
grow that collective to be a lot of small business owners and kind of have their
Yep.
voice be heard a little bit more?
Totally, and that business model exists amongst all other kind of retail groups, and it was before the pandemic, so, like, the first couple stores we had were successful, but the pandemic was like, that business model kinda taught us that, like, malls are not where we wanna be. It's not worth the rent,
Yeah.
it's not worth the staffing, like, it more so validated our hunch on, like, the traditional path for retail, that you have to go and open up a store. So, instead of opening a store in a mall right now, we're in like a cute neighborhood where there's a bunch of other small boutiques and shops. So we'll see like, is that like a location where retailers should have a store at versus a mall? So it also is like market validation without having to have like a 3-year lease at a mall
Yeah, and
that you can't
investing in
afford.
that for
Correct.
sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a smart business move,
Hmm.
and, I just I like again, it's you putting yourself out there and bringing people together to create strength in numbers,
Hmm.
and it comes back to you validating these women and these business owners to have confidence in what they're doing,
Yep.
and be able to present themselves to the world and what they're doing, where I think a lot of these people wouldn't have a voice, or if they were by themselves, maybe they'd clam up and
Hmm.
not put themselves out there.
Well, and retail's hard. Retail's changed, and if we can create a better way besides like wholesale or consignment or yeah, it was just basically taking an idea and kind of running it with ourselves. And there's other friends of mine that are in retail or part of similar collectives that like continue to expand in different locations. So like there is like a successful way to run that for people that are in retail, like bringing a group of retailers together and then like collectively opening up multiple locations. So it's been good. I haven't been a part of this past year very much, but from what I've heard the new store is doing well. So it's all good and it feels good because I get to see
Yeah.
my friends in the community showcasing their work, not just online, but in person in Minneapolis.
That's cool. Well, I'm gonna use that as a segue into so I have notes typed up for this conversation, and a lot of
Hmm.
them are the questions we've asked and we've gone into, and I don't I labeled this section "What Really Matters" in bold.
Here we go.
So yeah, so we're leading it. This is what it's about right here.
Okay.
To to dig into this some, again, I'm gonna
Hmm.
go back to when we first met, and one of
Hmm.
the biggest standouts for me with you and the character traits that I think you possessed and that I
The red
sensed
lipstick. The red
the red
lipstick. Am I
lipstick,
just
yeah,
ruining your really
and
nice comment?
It's Chanel what? I need to know the
Chanel,
number.
I have to look up I can't remember the name of it. That's a follow-up. We'll
Alright,
put
g
that in the show
okay,
notes.
good. Well, yeah, show notes, so
We'll
for
show
anyone
notes
who's
that. Doug, you
asking.
get that? Chanel in the show notes. I got it.
Um So what really resonated with me was the ability for you to instill confidence and esteem in the people who were at this round table with us. And
Mhm.
the empowerment that I saw was visceral, it was palpable. And I think that it's so important, especially having daughters, to have people in your life that really maximize your potential and
Mhm.
position you and structure you in a way that you understand that you can do what you want to do.
Mhm.
Um, and I guess I want to know how important was this when you developed your business and where you are now? Like, how much of this um, did you put in place purposefully to help combat insecurities and imposter syndrome? Was this like a conscious effort as far as who you wanted to be and how you wanted to portray yourself in business to
Mhm.
as a woman in business? And I haven't experienced what you've experienced, but it's almost as if this is very intentional on your behalf, and
Mhm.
it really is. To me, it was very visceral the way that people were reacting to you, and I just want to know, like, is was that part of the plan all along?
Mhm. Tyler, let me tell you something. We're about to get woo-woo up in here, okay?
Let's do
I
it. I don't even know what that means,
I
but like,
oh,
deuces,
we have so
deuces.
no. Those are 2 totally different things.
Okay,
So, I am not religious anymore, but, like, very, like, spiritual and, like, uh, energy, all of that good stuff, but
crystals.
crystals. I mean, I have 4 crystals on my desk right now. But I mean, gemstone jewelry. But I remember when I was 16 years old and I was sitting in a history class with one of my childhood good friends named Donna. And I remember saying to her, I am going to own a business by the time I'm 30. And I just knew it. I knew when I was 16, I was like, I know I'm going to own a business. I'm actually turning 30 this year. And
Are
I
you?
have
I was gonna ask you, but I
how
didn't
old
want
I
to.
was.
But then I'm
You can
no, but
always
like
ask. It's
what
not
I really
offensive.
wanted to
Yeah.
ask you is because I wanted to know, like, you're a younger woman who named their daughter Donna that's your age. Like, I feel like
Oh,
that's an older lady's name, right? Like,
she's Albanian, so her name is
okay.
Liridona, but she goes by Donna, which I think is so funny because
Yeah, it's
Liridona is so
could you imagine a
beautiful.
little kid could you imagine
Named
a little
Donna?
kid named Donna?
Yes, it's like a little
Alright,
girl named
sorry.
Blanche, like Blanche or Mildred.
Yeah,
Totally.
exactly. Or
Mildred.
Tildred.
But I am very much a visual, like a visualization. I can like I've always kind of visualized the life that I've always wanted and it's kind of come to me in like different ways, but like I've always known in my gut that like I want to do really impactful things with my life and the intention piece is totally there and who I surround myself with is huge. Like I'm very picky about the people that I surround myself with. And they're people from all different walks of life, ages, backgrounds, and they're not all people who are like, yes, man, but like people who challenge me, people who are like 10 years more successful than me, or people that like I want to mentor and bring into my world. Like I have built this network of really amazing men and women who support me. It's mutual, but they also challenge me and push me. And I don't have time for the people that are, they're just energy vampires. We've heard all those people, but like creating a boundary and like being very selective about the people you have in your life is like make or break. Cause I mean, there's that saying, you are the culmination of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Like, do you really want to be associated with those 5 people if you were objectively looking at your life?
Yeah.
I can't judge, but like I am who I am today because of the people that have believed in me, that have challenged me, even the people that doubted me. I mean, fuck them, but like that motivated me to get to where I'm
Yeah,
at. But
absolutely.
yeah, I've just always tried to be my own like my own advocate because like no one's going to advocate harder for you than your own self. But again, that takes years of just really pushing yourself, having really bad experiences and then really good experiences to finally feel that way. But I've been very
So,
intentional about just the decisions I've made in my life and who I'm just becoming and transforming into every
what
day.
what do you feel as a young woman and a business owner and entrepreneur, um, how are you validating your own worth
Oh,
in your field and everything? Because you said, obviously you surround yourself with people, right?
yeah.
But, like, a lot of self-esteem and confidence is coming from within, and that you have to walk that fine line between being
Hmm.
pompous or arrogant
Yep.
or conceited and just being somebody who's confident in their own abilities, and you don't come off as being arrogant or pompous or conceited. So how are you validating your worth within your field to be able to bridge that line safely, while still coming off as somebody who's knowledgeable and professional and has experience?
One, I don't take myself seriously. So that's I hope arrogant people drive me fucking crazy. It's like you take yourself too seriously and nobody thinks you're that great. You know what I mean? Like so
Yeah.
one thing just like don't take yourselves too seriously. I'm very self-deprecating. But to like validate my worth, it's truly like let's tie it back to stories. The customer stories that I have of the work that I've done is what I use when people are interested in my services, ask what I'm doing, the results my customers have seen. Like that's I don't have to sell it to you. You can talk to them. I'm just honest with people. I'm not going to say like I'm the best in the business in operations and I have all these certificates, because I don't. I'd like to get some just for my own just knowledge and expansion of knowledge, but I can show them what I do just based on one, how I present myself, how I carry myself, and what I've delivered for my clients. And it's not going to be for everybody. And like, that's literally the point. I'm not for everybody, but it's through the success of my customers. Like, again, I am not successful if my customers are not successful. So you can
Yeah, I mean, that's a good
call any of
point.
them, call any of my customers that will sell it to you. I don't have to tell you how great I am. Like, that's what my customers are for.
I
And
mean, that's a true determining factor, and that you're not going to be in business long as a consultant if
totally.
your clients are not successful. Like, it's
Right.
pretty telling.
Right?
Right? It's like every client that you take on fails miserably in business, probably shouldn't be a consultant.
Right. And like I'm not in this business so that like I feel great about myself. You know what I mean? Like I do it because I want your business to be great. Like that makes me feel better because I know what it's like to have a business. It's so hard. And I wish I could have been that person for me, 5 years ago when I started it, or my parents, or like I truly just believe that like the small business community, like we keep this economy alive, and it's so important that we maintain our businesses. And the pandemic was a really hard time, still continues to be for a lot of businesses. So I truly am in the business of just helping. I want to help and make things better and help you make more money. Like, let's go raise your prices, people. Like, inflation's real. I just feel like I see that every time. Raise your prices. We're delivering so much more than what we're charging. That's an entirely different soapbox I'll get
So,
off of.
I mean, I guess along those same lines, you're gonna screw up, you're gonna make mistakes.
Mhm.
What are you doing to bounce back from those mistakes in a world and in an industry that you're not even necessarily getting the support and the backing in the first place?
Mhm.
So everything's great when you're successful and things are going well. It's very
Mhm.
easy to remain successful and maintain that trajectory.
Mhm.
I know when I struggle in business, I start to question everything that I'm doing, and it could be one small thing, right? And
Yep.
you're like, "Well, why am I doing it this way?" And you start reflecting inward.
100%.
But like I know what I do. I have a network of people who can help back me and justify
Mhm.
that what I'm doing is right. Like, what do you do with your experience in the world that you live in to kind of set you back on the right path?
Yeah, I mean, I think the who you surround yourself with, like, there are some people where it's like, who's the phone call you make when you need to have an honest conversation? Who's the phone call you need to make to, like, cheer you up? So it's like in those moments, there's, like, 3 people I'm thinking of, like, and I have called them in times where, like, I had made a mistake, or I'm going something through something that's, like, questioning whether or not I'm even doing the right thing, and, like, I talk to those people because they're the ones, and they're usually older than me, that are successful and have had more experience, because they're the ones that can kind of bring me down to earth a little bit and be like, deep breaths. This is normal. This is how I would do this. So the people for sure is a big one. And then even if it's within the client that I'm making a mistake on, or if there's an issue, it's just truly a conversation, like a literal pick up the phone. Here's what happened. Here's why it happened. Here's what we're going to do about it. Like, just feel like I've been in crisis management since I was 7, just dealing with 6 Italian siblings throwing shit at each other and like fighting, that like I can handle a stressful situation, and
Yeah.
it's everything can be resolved with a phone call. Like, I truly believe that you just call somebody, and you can hash it out. Don't do it over email. Everything gets misread. Just call somebody if you're really having a hard
That's a
time.
good point. Even email and even text message, I think that people
Totally.
struggle with.
Hmm.
And
Just
you're
call
not
me.
necessarily. Yeah, I think that you can get much clearer answers. Um, what are there any potential pitfalls that you could be wary of, that you learned in business and that you kind of experienced in business that you could lend to somebody who's looking to just start out, whether it's a woman or a young man or
Mhm.
whatever that may be, that you've experienced that you could say, hey, I think that this is something you could do or something you could not do?
Mhm. It's funny. I feel like we got this conversation at our live podcast show for, if they're ready to kind of like take the leap. I would say if you want to have a business, start a business, like either don't quit your day job, kind of like have it on the side and time box it to see how long you can do it on the side for, or have like a 3 to 6 month like cash reserve, like have just some sort of like just cash sitting for you to buffer you for the first 3 to 6 months. I feel like that's huge. I think we live in a world where it's like, quit your business or quit your job and start a business, or every hobby is a business. I don't agree with that. Like there's some hobbies that are just like, I love macarons, those little French desserts, but I'm not going to start a business because then every macaron I make, that's like I have to count how many of those I have to sell to make rent. You know what I mean? Like there are just
Yeah.
some things that you can enjoy. You don't have to like hustle and make money off of. That drives me crazy. So like, is it truly something you want to like look at as like a number that you have to sell a certain amount of and convince people that like this is something they need to have in their lives? Or do you just enjoy it? Like it's okay to enjoy things. Not everything needs to be a goddamn business. Like, and I say that with so much love. And like, to our earlier point about my jewelry business, really think about the brand and the purpose. Don't just go product driven. Don't just like try and build an app because there's app fatigue and not everybody needs an app. I get that all the time for tech companies. Like, what problem are you actually solving for people? And can you articulate that problem? And why are you the best person to solve that problem? Like that's like pitching 101. Like that's just sales. And if you don't like sales, do not start a business because it is all sales. Like everything we do is sales. And if you don't love that, or if you don't feel like you're going to be good at it, like you're going to have a hard time. So get over that. Like
And
you have to
that's a
believe
real
that.
that's a really good perspective, and interesting perspective too, because I think that most people get into business because it's what they love to do, right? What could I
Hmm.
picture myself doing for the rest of my
Hmm.
life? And they find something that they enjoy doing, but then every decision that you're making in that business is an emotional decision
Oh yeah, it's
where
exhausting.
you should be detached from those emotions when you're making
Hmm.
business decisions. And I think
Hmm.
that a lot of small businesses, it's a passion project, right? Like the woman in your collective that makes candles,
Hmm.
like it's got to be very difficult to detach from the emotion of that while still maintaining a certain level of business mentality and mindset to be successful. And I think that it's very important to note that if you are going to create a business that's based on a passion project, that you have somebody on your team that's willing to have those hard conversations with you when
Hmm.
you're emotionally too close to your business.
Hmm. By the way, Heidi's candle company is like booming. She's a boss.
Yeah.
Like talk about like a really successful candle business. Excelsior Candle Co. Buy all of her candles, and it's like has a sustainability purpose behind it. Chef's kiss,
Yeah.
amazing. All of her candles.
I
I
gotta
would
have
say
my wife check it out because she burns candles, and I don't have good lungs, and I every time that she burns candles, I can't breathe.
yes, hers are soy based. They're clean. You'll love them. I'll send you all the links. Just to like put a cherry on top of that point, I always tell people there's like two things with a business. Like there is something you have a passion about. So like I tell people with my jewelry business, I am passionate about jewelry design, but my purpose with Mend was to understand like the nuts and bolts to growing and scaling and operating a business. So there wasn't all this pressure to like make Mend into this thing and it was a personal failure, even though it feels like that way when things change. But like if my passion was just jewelry design and my purpose was jewelry design, I would have a different kind of business. So it's like there could be something that you're passionate about, but if you don't have a purpose tied to it, I don't know if there's a business there. Like it could be, but like if you're just riding on passion, you're going to get burnt out. And then you're going to feel bad that it didn't work out the way you did because you're so emotionally invested. So, like, find what you love, find what purpose it's going to serve in your life, but don't put all your eggs in the passion. If it is just passion, then keep it as a hobby.
Yeah.
Read books. You don't have to like produce books or like whatever it is that you love. Like, you don't have to make money off of it. Like, we're just so into that, like, grind, make money. It's just like chill out. Like not just sometimes just enjoy things. You can totally enjoy things in your life. You don't have to have a side business around it.
It's true. So what should I have asked you that I didn't? Is there anything that you want to kind of speak to, disclose, that's important to
Disclose.
you? Like, do you have any secrets that you want to tell me?
Secrets, what? This would be the time. I have chest
Right?
hair. I'm just kidding. Well, that'd be
This
funny.
is
That would be
this
insane.
yeah.
Um, honestly, I think one, you're a great interviewer. Thank you for all the thoughtful questions. It is fun when you get interviewed about all the different things because you forget about all the work that you've done.
Yeah.
Um, honestly, I other things that people want to know about me. Like
I mean, is
truly,
there
I
something that's like, yeah, like, so I guess what I get from you, again, it's that intentionality and
yep.
it's the ability to empower. I mean, obviously, you're empowering more than just women, right? I think that
Mhm,
so much of what
totally.
you do is based on your business, and it's a female owned business, and you're very
Mhm,
intentional with how you want to support local businesses and female owned businesses, and you are doing what I think is very honorable work in putting that much effort into that.
yeah.
Whatever your reasons for doing so, I find them very important. And one of the
Mhm,
reasons that I had you on here again is because I have daughters. My wife works. I understand, while I've not experienced it, I haven't
mhm,
experienced the biases that you have, the prejudices that you have. Like, I don't know what it's like to be a girl. I
mhm.
don't know what it's like to be a girl in business. Right? So
Woman, you have said girl multiple times, and I'm
I'm
trying
sorry.
not to correct you.
I'm
I know
sorry.
you have
A
daughters.
woman.
I
A
know it's I
woman.
know it's not intentional. I know it. I got you. I got you. I'm not gonna chest. I mean, I just had to call it out where I'm like, no more girls. Your daughters are girls. Above
Absolutely.
18 we're women. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, go on.
So I
there's our
don't
there's our promo clip right there. Ding
a
ding ding.
female woman. So I don't know what that's like, and I haven't
Totally.
experienced that. Um, so is there anything that you feel is very insightful, that we
Mhm.
haven't touched on, that would be important to articulate to whoever hears this podcast?
Mhm. Energy's a currency. I think how you show up, your attitude and your energy, like that, if I could teach people that skill set, that like your attitude and how you approach everything in your life is going to determine how successful you're going to be. Like, my energy is like, I'm so happy that the feedback is that like people feel invigorated around me because that is my secret sauce. Like, I'm here to make people feel like amped up and that they're capable of anything because again, I did not feel like I had that person. So I have become that person to others and the attitude always should be that we are going to figure it out. Your attitude is true. I have met people that are so smart, Tyler. They're so smart, but they have the worst attitude. So they will never get anything done. And that is their fault. Like you get to
Yeah.
control that. Like, so really consider like what is your attitude towards life, the work you do, your like think about it from a holistic perspective. Who is somebody you admire that has an amazing attitude, amazing energy? How do they present themselves to the world and mirror what they're doing? Because like that's what people remember. No one's gonna remember all the stuff I talked about in my business and scaling and growing. They're gonna remember like, oh, she had red lipstick on. Oh, she talked with her hands. Oh, she made me feel like that I could finally start my crocheting company. I don't know.
And
It's
that's
one of
what
my
it
friends
is. Like,
crochets.
see, that's, to me, that's what's important, and that's what I was able to pull away from my interactions with you, and what I saw with how other people experienced you, and I wanted to at least be able to provide an outlet for our listeners to
Mhm,
get a slice of who Jordyn is and the impact that you can have on people. And
mhm,
your business is one thing. What you're doing with the business is one thing, but it's not about men. It's not about your collective. It's not about JDP as
mhm,
much as the overall, as far as you get up and you don't feel bound by societal constraints or what
mm,
the status quo is, and you're willing to refund all of these things. And I want my daughters to
mhm,
see someone like you and be inspired by that, not necessarily by your jewelry business and all of the smaller pieces of this puzzle, but the overall experience. And I hope
totally.
on my end that we were able to adequately articulate the impact that you have on people, because it was insightful for me, and it was impactful for me as well. And I'm really great that I got to experience you in person and experience you on the podcast, because you have a great personality. but it inspires a lot in people. And I hope that there are many people who get to experience you in life, because I think that you can
Oh,
do
that's
great
so
things for them.
sweet. That's really Oh, Tyler, thanks. That's so kind. I really
You're
appreciate
I
that.
mean, you don't have to thank me, but you're welcome. But I think
But that was really nice. That was very nice, and I liked how you weaved in everything, and you said the refund that I refund things and in my podcast. Like that was very thoughtful. That was very kind. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on the show. I hope people listen, and then we'll kind
oh,
of
yeah,
send them
people
to
will
all the
definitely
places.
listen.
Well, I'm not saying people don't listen to your podcast, but like they hear the first 5 minutes and they're like, "Who is this chick?" It's gonna be great.
I
It's gonna be so
I
great.
mean, maybe it's just me, and maybe I am biased, but, like,
Yeah.
your energy is great, and it definitely would make me hang on for the listen, and
So you
I
think
hope that
top five
people do give it a
episode?
chance.
Top 5
Top
episode?
2? Top
Top 2?
2?
Oh,
I would
wow,
imagine. Yeah, I
okay.
mean, it's gotta be.
Yeah, and I'm
I
being
mean, just
paid
the
to
way
be
that we
on this, yeah.
started, yeah, but it wasn't that much. It wasn't that much. We're gonna offset it. We're gonna
Yeah,
offset those
yeah.
costs.
Yeah, yeah, you're gonna pay me, right? This was a paid Oh, we're still recording? Oh, I didn't realize we're still recording,
No,
so I thought you
yeah.
paid me.
No, yeah.
Um
We'll exchange goods, and I'll get that gold
But,
necklace.
I would like to send, your wife some jewelry. I'll also link to any of the, small businesses that I mentioned, a part of the Founders Co., but I would love to send your
Yeah.
wife, some earrings or a necklace as a thank you gift. I mean, you could wear it too, but, more so for her.
I got my ears pierced, I could wear it.
You have your ears pierced?
Um,
What are you in a
I
boy
it's
band?
funny. Yeah, boy
What
band. Not anymore. No.
Wait, were you really in a band?
No,
No. Are you music Okay,
I
I was
wasn't in a
just gonna
boy band,
say.
but I did have my
Wow.
ears pierced.
Yeah, everybody went
Um,
through that phase. I feel like that
the
was really boy
the
band
holes do
band.
not close up, so I'll throw my daughter's earrings in every now and then and surprise them at the dinner ta when we play dress so my one daughter, Tilly, she every day of the week, she has a theme for the evening,
Oh, I love
and
her. She's gonna do great
yeah.
things. I
So, like,
feel
the
it.
one evening is dress up night, and she just I don't wear fancy male clothes, so she, dresses me and gets me some makeup on, lipstick, and puts earrings on me and
Mhm.
makes me eat dinner that way, so I can't really
You
pull it
Yeah.
off, but I do it for the cause.
I I love that she understands themes. She loves an accessory. She loves a lip color. Like her again. I'm very excited to see who she becomes. I might be working
Yeah,
for Tilly
same,
at some point.
same. She's a piece of work. But, yeah,
Wow.
I appreciate your time. I'm so happy to have met you. We're actually having Mark on the podcast soon, your
Mr.
buddy Mark.
Williams? Mr.
Yeah.
Mark Williams.
Mr. Williams, I think
He's
Nick knows
fun.
him.
Yep.
Yeah, so, it
Talk
should be
about
fun.
energy. Him and I, when we
Oh
get
my
coffee,
goodness.
it's like fireworks. But you know what? What I love about Mark, great energy, super fun, and he's just down for it. I say something crazy, he just bounces back, says something even crazier, and I'm like, I love people like this. They just don't care, and they are who they are, and I just appreciate that about him.
Yeah.
Him and
I'm
I,
curious if
we
he's
vibe.
really down for it, or that's just, like, the kind of the at like, in when it actually comes down to it, like, I think that you could convince him to pretty much do anything. Like, he's one
He's
of those friends
I
growing up
which
that,
I
like,
which
if
I
you
love.
really need somebody, right, like, we could get Mark to do it.
I mean, I'm that friend where I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'm jumping off the cliff first. Let's go. Let's go. I'm doing it." But I'm so happy you're gonna have him on. He's good people. He's really fun. And I met him at BizCom too. So what a great connector that event. And I'm
Yeah,
happy
for
that we were able to
sure.
meet. This is great.
Yeah, so I'll get all the information from you, but if you want, just in general, if you want people to reach out or check out who you are, where's the best place for them to go?
So JDP Consult Co. is my consulting site. Mend Jewelry is my jewelry business, mendjewelry.com. Founders Co. is founders-co. And then my Instagram is just my name, so at Jordyn DiOrio. And then the refund is linked in my Instagram. That's through a different platform. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all the places. We'll link it all in the show
They're
notes.
legit. They're legit.
And we have really
It's not
highly
like
produced videos, like very highly produced. Like we pay
yeah,
a lot of
they're
money for
good.
video production. So, and we have cute outfits we wear too. We style all of our shoots. So it's
Why are
really,
you
really
looking at me
fun.
when you say that? You know
What?
what I'm actually kinda pissed about? You have all this production for your podcast,
And
and
my
you show
background
up
is blurred.
with in a bedroom with a blurred background and non-functioning microphone.
First off,
No
you're
respect for
the
the
mic
modern
issue was
craftsman.
you, not me. Second off, I
Oh,
so let's
it's
just be
you,
clear.
not me.
But the background, I know I should have been in my office. Scheduling just kind of got out of whack today. But you know what? I'm here. I was present. We can always,
True.
Doug, can we add a background? Doug, can you edit
I don't
something?
I don't know if Doug that might
Well,
be a bit much.
he said, look at, he just said he was going to figure it out. We're in a
Did
separate
he?
chat. Don't worry.
Where
Don't worry.
alright, because I was gonna say,
I'm
I'm seeing
making
the
that
chat
up.
screen right now, and
I'm
there's
totally making that
nothing
up.
coming up.
Doug is like,
Um,
this chick is just
yeah.
asking for above and
Who did
beyond.
you have on who did you have on the
Who
podcast? You
who's
know
this?
what, though? I can try and put a background on or maybe try and, like, dial you up a little bit. I'll do my
No.
best. I'm, like,
You know what?
really
This is who
not
I am.
I'm technologically
You're not
illiterate, but
computer. Yeah, this is a off
I'm
to a
not
good
yeah, I'm
start.
not computer savvy, but, like, I think I can do a good job.
You know what? I think we're good. I think this is the authentic Jordan in her small apartment in Minneapolis. This is
That's
who I
what we
am.
wanted. That's what
Yeah,
we
this
wanted.
exactly. And you know what? Mission accomplished. Done and done.
Cool. Well, thank you, Jordan. To wrap things up, you can just hit end broadcast, and then it should upload before you close the screen.
Do I click
If you
not leave
haven't,
studio? Stop
you can
cam?
hit click. So if you hit yeah, if you hit leave studio, it should
Yeah.
upload everything. And if it doesn't, then we can send you a link to finish uploading everything.
Okay, so I have to click the leave studio.
Yeah, and then it'll upload it locally. But if there was like an issue that popped up that said it didn't record,
Okay, I'll ping
then we can
you.
send you a link to finish recording. But I appreciate your time.
Yeah, this was so
It
fun.
was
I
great.
really appreciate it. Hopefully, I didn't give you too much of a hard time. I just feel like I can just like keep going. I just think it's fun.
No, a hard time
Okay.
as far as what?
I don't know. I just don't want to feel like I'm badgering you. But as long this is the intro, right? I hope this is the intro. I
I
just
mean,
like
this
know I
can be
can
the
tease.
int it can.
No,
What are you badgering me about?
no. I just wanted to make sure. I like to tease. It's just that's my
No,
energy. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
you don't bother me teasing. I
Okay.
took enough of that growing up, and I still
I was
live in a
just gonna say,
household
I feel like you're
with
prepared for it.
one woman and 2 girls.
Oh, yeah,
1
good
woman and
luck.
2 girls, and
Good luck.
my favorite dog is a girl because she's only 3, so I can still call her a girl.
Yeah, thank you
Um,
for clarifying.
yeah, but, I can take it. I can take the abuse.
Oh, I love it. Okay, well, thank you. Will you please
Yeah, thank you.
send me your address? I'll ship some. Does your wife
Okay.
have her ears pierced? Does she wear
She
earrings or
does.
necklace? Okay,
She
let me
does.
send you some earrings on
Okay.
my as my
Yeah, I'll
treat.
follow up via email and get everything that I
Yes.
need from you, but thank you so much for your
Thanks,
time. I
Tyler. This was
appreciate
so
it. Yeah, it was
fun.
good
Have
to
a
talk
great
to you for
week.
sure.
Yeah, we'll
I'll
chat
talk to
soon.
you soon.
Bye,
Okay.
Doug. Bye.
Bye-bye.